Well, faithful theologians and Christian philosophers understand that by definition, God is infinite, omnipotent, and omnipresent. This conception of God was not always self-evident, even for the children of Israel, with whom God had a personal relationship. And just like sometimes how our relationships with others are forged in times of strife, it took one of these events, the Babylonian exile, for God's people to understand who God really is. I'm Reverend Ian Collier, and this is 2 Minute Methodism. While very early on, the Hebrew people knew of God as the creator, those earliest writings, like Genesis 2 and 3, present God as fairly limited. God seems to be in only one place at a time. He doesn't know what happens when he doesn't see it, and it seems like it takes him 2 tries to find that perfect mate for the first human. By the era of the divided monarchy, the people of Israel and Judah had somewhat of a better understanding of God's power, but it still seems like they could only conceive of worshiping the God of Israel within the land of Israel. When the Babylonian Empire conquered Jerusalem and deported its residents to Babylon, one poet even wrote that it seemed impossible for him to sing to the Lord in a foreign land. But here is where God shows himself for who he truly is. God sends a vision to the prophet Ezekiel of God's throne on chariot wheels and of God leaving the temple in Jerusalem. This symbolizes that God is not limited to just the temple or even just the land of Israel, but is the Lord over the whole earth. God's care extends to all people, everywhere, all the time. When Christ comes, God in the flesh, this is confirmed and magnified. Not only is God all-powerful and God over the whole earth, but we learn that God's care is truly everywhere, from the lilies of the field to the tiny birds to each hair on your head. So if you struggle with understanding who God is, you can cut yourself a break. It took all of humanity thousands of years to get it. But you can trust that in Christ, God does want to know you, and God does want you to know him.